Hi, team. Welcome to another conversation for How Women Win Our Way. If you'd like to get involved and be on the journey that Kathy and I have committed to, we'd love to have you answer our questions, join our podcast, whatever really fits for you and your story. So go to howwomenwin.com. There's a survey there that you can answer. We have 10 questions that we're engaging all of our guests in, and we'd love to hear from you. So Kathy, today you and I have the honor of really debriefing the conversation that we had with Carli, who was a volleyball player in college and now a professional athlete. So what did you learn from Carli that we want to start and share just with our team as we start to figure out how we can win our way?
Well, I think for coaches, Carlette, there was a lot of interesting observations that she made just about her own journey, where sometimes she wasn't even referring to the coach, but she was referring to the environment that they created. And so, she was a prodigy, as most Power 5 volleyball players, basketball players, soccer players are. I mean, they were good at 14, 15. And so, but even as a 15-year-old, she was assessing the relationships that coaches had with not only members of their own team, but previous athletes. Mm-hmm. And that was all going into her computer as she was deciding. And even her mother's a coach, her father's a coach. She told us neither one of them ever said anything to her about playing for either a male or female coach, but that as she went through the process, she was drawn to female coaches. She ended up going and playing for Mary Wise of Florida. And I just think that's so important for coaches to hear, that athletes are always assessing, is this going to be the right fit for them from a relationship standpoint?
Well, and Kathy, so many times as coaches, we're thinking more about the volleyball side of it or the basketball, really the X's and O's, just right. That's where our brain is.
Yeah. Here's where you're going to fit in the system. This is our thoughts for you. Here's where we think you can be in the future. And yeah.
And Carli was just very eloquent about saying, I wanted to know. That was important because she has a very competitive spirit. And she really honored her competitive spirit with the connection of being a young woman and knowing that as a young woman, she valued relationships. She valued her love language as affirmation. She needed to know that she was doing the right thing. So that was valued and appreciated. She also really owned that she was clueless as a freshman, right? I mean, as you said, she was very, very good. And she came in as a freshman and asked a lot of questions like, why do we have to wear the same shirt? Or, these details that now she's like, of course we were wearing the same shirt, like every detail mattered. So she came in very authentic to herself. And we have certainly heard that on all of our 10 talks that we've had the honor of doing. Be authentic, be your authentic self. That's really hard to do. I mean, who are you at 15? Who are you at 16? How are these coaches being authentic? So when we talk about really setting our coaches up to receive a great player like this, and then a great player staying versus transferring because they're frustrated or they're not really being able to have a pathway that they understand, Carli talked about that she came in as a freshman and she really got to have the opportunity to develop herself. She didn't have the pressure immediately of carrying the whole team. She had a great senior staff that was doing what senior staff do in terms of being great volleyball players and great leaders. So I think it really speaks to a coach having that program of managing expectations, developing people. I really liked when Carli talked about that it was about her understanding how to get better herself every day versus how to be like somebody else. And as women, a lot of times we compare ourselves. And so it's like, okay, well, I need to be more like this or more like that. The minute we say that, we've taken our power away and we're not really working on ourselves anymore. So a coaching staff that's really valuing who I am and helping me develop me so that I can fit into the team and contribute and play a role. And she also talked about her coaches having very candid conversations about the roles so that she understood, this is what I'm working towards as a freshman. This is what I'm going to be doing. If I'm able to achieve, she mentioned putting 30 pounds of muscle on, right? I mean, there's very specific things. They just needed her stronger. And so she somewhat had the power to say, okay, I'm going to take responsibility for what I need, and I'm going to show up and see if I can figure this out.
Yeah, I thought another really interesting thing, because she sounds, Carlette, to me, as if she has some perfectionistic tendencies.
Mm.
And again, we're going to see this in a lot of girls that are coming up through the elite sports system, have this, you have to be perfect, and how to learn how to set goals where you don't feel, and in her words, where you don't feel like a loser every day. If the standards are so high about what you're going to accomplish in a practice, or about what you're going to be, hey, I want to be all SEC my freshman year. It's like, well, you're probably going to come out of practice every day going, okay, it ain't happening. I'm a loser. And so I just thought some really pragmatic advice, actually, not just for young women and coaches, but for all of us, to say, hey, what are the things that make you feel good? And so do a little of it every day. You don't have to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Do a little of it each day, because then you come out of it with some enhanced self-esteem and confidence about that the task is, can be accomplished. I mean, I just thought that was really insightful for a still relatively young woman, but who has learned now, coming in as she said, her words, clueless freshman to an All-America senior, and now to a 4-year pro.
Well, and she talked about those short-term wins, really setting up herself to be able, did I win the day versus a 5-year plan, or, really something, as she referred to, results oriented. Mm-hmm. So could she say, did I connect with my family? Because that's really important. That's a win. And I think that's so valuable as we talk about how women win, just using the word win, right? Like, immediately, does that feel like we have to beat everybody, or does that feel like we're being for us and we're really figuring it out? And I asked her to define winning. And that's a question I would ask everyone on our team listening, is that, the minute you say something's important to you, define it. Because Kathy, you and I can use the language, how women win, our way, and you and I will have completely different stories about it because we're different. And that's really the gift that we're exploring, is how do we win our way? And one of her winning strategies was short-term wins. How can she win the day? What does she have control over? What can she be really somewhat proud of herself about? And the other thing that was so valuable that her coaches gave her the gift of was, as she said, she retrained her brain. And that was that they were training her, they were asking her to change, which is very hard. And we were referencing the question, how struggle creates success. And for a perfectionist, or for a high achiever, or for somebody who wants to basically, get it right and win, that's a tough one. And she said that her coaches really made the success in her doing the technique properly. And with the words of affirmation said, great job, well done, you're doing what we ask you to do. So they took the emphasis off of the result, which her whole career had been result oriented. Most of us are, did you win? What happened? How many points did you score? All of that. And they focused on, did you do the new technique that we're teaching you? And then they affirmed, well done, you're doing it, you're doing it. So huge winning strategy for everyone listening, and for all of us, in terms of, if you want to have some change in your life, reward yourself for doing the change versus looking at the result.
Yeah, the example that she gave was that she had a tendency to raise up when she was passing, and to just not hold on to what in volleyball is called the platform. And so what the coaches did is, instead of worrying, did the ball go to the setter, which is, again, the transactional, hey, I don't care how it gets there, just get it there. You will never teach anybody to do anything differently from a technical standpoint if we focus just on the outcome. And so what they did to tap into her competitiveness was they had a whistle, and they weren't looking at where the ball went. They just looked at, was her technique correct? And if her shoulders came up, they boop, and she lost a point. So all of a sudden she became aware. And that's, again, what teaching is about for coaches, is making an athlete aware of what is their body doing and what does it feel like to do this right. When she was attacking, don't, again, we're all results are, hey, was the ball in? No, the ball was out. No, the ball was out. No, the ball was into the net. Doesn't matter. Hey, that was the right arm swing, or that was the footwork pattern we want. That was the acceleration we need. Having that as training by coaches to incentivize competitive kids to change.
Well, and also we talk constantly about trusting the process. And this is a beautiful example, is if our words are trust the process as we take you through this change, we have to be rewarding the process. So rather than the result. And, that's hard on a coach too, because we need the result to happen. So you can watch the conflict going on constantly in terms of, we really want that win, we want that result. And yet we do have to develop ourselves and our technique to have the result come out really the way that we want it to. And boy, isn't that a journey in life, to trust the process in relationships and everything that we, that we're involving ourselves, really focused on the journey, or is it just the destination? And I think when we find that question of where's the joy in everything that we're doing, Carli did a beautiful job of saying, really, she's finding joy in just the discovery of being able now in her professional career to leave volleyball, really the critiquing of volleyball, what's going on in her brain. I missed a serve. Why did I do this? I can't believe I did that. She's letting that go when she closes the door behind her in the gym. And I think that's a great example of, you've exhausted yourself. You've done the best you can at practice. Spend a little time, or in life and after a meeting, whatever you're doing, critique it, find out what you want to take from it and learn, close the door and walk into your personal life. And that's where she shared with us, it's not that I turn off my competitive spirit or I turn off my ability and my desire to be successful. I actually leave the craft of volleyball that I was doing and I step into, am I eating well? Well, let me learn to cook. This is kind of a fun hobby. Am I reading and doing, she loves reading and writing. Am I honoring myself with doing the things that I really love? As you started our conversation about, find the things that you like and have those in your day. She demonstrated how you do that by really being competitive in the gym, closing the door on really that constant critiquing, engaging her mind and taking care of her body. She made a great point about rest and recovery and, getting the sleep that she needs, making the tough decision not to be having those extra drinks when she needs to recover. Those are choices that she's making, not because somebody's telling her to, because she's choosing that she values her and her goals and the things that she wants over a choice that she's got to make. And that's a really empowering position to be in.
Yeah, it's kind of this partial compartmentalization that you can turn off the switch of where you're replaying things that happen in practice, but you don't turn off the fact that you're still a performance machine, if you will, or a performance body. And so, yeah, the fact that you've turned off volleyball doesn't mean that you can go out drinking or that you're going to eat, some really difficult to digest food or those kinds of things. It's like, no, but I'm not going to obsess on what happened there. And again, that is just a learned skill. And, the fact that she's a successful professional athlete, she's learned it.
Well, and Kathy, you alluded to the fact that, and we didn't talk about her being a perfectionist. We just talked about a lot of women are perfectionists. And so that obsession with every detail over and over and over, she didn't share with us whether that's how she learned it. We didn't get, that part of the story. We just heard that a winning strategy for her has been to really learn that when she leaves the gym, She lets go of whatever happened there, and she steps into really taking care of herself so that she can show up ready to have that internal and external real, competitive drive in a practice session. When you do have a coach going hard at you, you do need to perform for your teammates. She's giving her brain a chance to rest, find some joy, eat well, drink well, in terms of just, hydration, rest, recovery, friendships, reading, writing. That's a part of the journey, is finding out, what do you do in your time away from your craft or your profession that really fills you up and helps you to come back stronger and better, so that you can take that day-to-day drive of constant improvement.
Yeah, I thought another thing that was quite insightful in her analysis was how that the part of her day that she loves the most is the locker room before practice, stretching after practice, just being with the players on the team. And again, she says, that this is her love language, is affirmation, and interaction is what she needs. But what that translated into is a trust that when things got difficult on the court, either because the seniors were having captain's practices that were going to be tough and weren't good enough, and she, as a kind of a fierce competitor, and I watched her play, she was a fierce competitor. There was no mamby-pambying around, but that was okay now with those teammates because of all of that time spent before practice and after practice being Carli, and knowing you could trust who Carli was, and you could trust being in relationship with her.
Well, Kathy, I think it speaks to our How Women Win Our Way, is it's relationships. And that was one of the questions she asked on her recruiting visit, is she wanted to know, what was the relationship that the coach had with their players? And were they doing things outside of volleyball? What were you going to develop me as a person, or were you just going to develop me as a volleyball player? So I think very early, as she says, at 15, she was figuring out that relationships really mattered to her, and she was investing in them. And really, that ability to authentically want to be in the locker room, be curious about each other, engaging, investing that time, then going into practice, and then coming out of practice and investing more time in relationship. I think that's part of the struggle right now from a time management perspective, is people are like, we've got to get things done, go, 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 go. And to that heart of an athlete that may be really relationship based and anchored in relationship, if you're kind of hustling me through the relationship component to get to the tactical X's and O's, you're leaving a big part of me out of it. And I'm just not going to be as high of a performer, because I'm not being able to be honored for really what matters to me.
Yeah. Well, we heard this from Sue Enquist too, of, coaches, what time are you willing to give to this other stuff? And practice time, not outside time, practice time. Are you willing to give to the relationship building stuff? And one of the things she observed that we've heard from others is that lace up your shoes, perform, and you'll feel good if you perform well, is really a pretty standard thing for guys. And so now, if you're going to spend time on building relationships before you get on the court, it's like, why are we wasting this time? This is ridiculous. Let's get out here and bang balls here. Let's get out here and shoot and run and jump. Because that's how they're going to find feeling good. And that with women, they have to feel good before they're going to do that other stuff well. And so again, just kind of this juxtaposition about where do you put, where are you investing time to be able to get the results that you want as a coach, which is a functional team. It's never going to be always a winning team, but it's a functional team. It's a team that can go into contests and do their best. And there's times that your team will do their best and lose. And you need to be able as a coach to recognize that's as good as we are. They were better.
Today, yeah.
And to reward them. Hey, we're not going to be sad. I was listening to a coach this weekend that lost a 5-set match, who was observing. He said to his team in the locker room afterwards, he said, we can't be sad. He said, that was just an awesome, awesome volleyball match by both teams. And one of the two of us was going to lose it. It happened to be us, but we cannot be sad because of how well we did. That's a mature answer.
Well, and I really loved what she said, what Carli said in reference to, for women, we need to feel good to perform well. And so huge winning strategy, that investment in making sure that I'm feeling good is going to pay off in a huge way. So Kathy, as always, thank you so much for being on this journey. It's such a gift to have you as a partner as we discover how women win our way. And team, we want you to be on our journey. So we'd love to hear from you. We'd want to know your answers to our 10 questions. You can go to How Women Win Our Way. It's a website, howwomenwin.com. You can click on the survey and answer our 10 questions. Join us and go out, make it a great week, figure out how you win. And Kathy and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Carlette.